Good afternoon, guys.
Recording in progress.
All right, we'll start with Mallory this time and then go Ron and BJ. John's still around?
Yeah, I'm right here. Coach, the decision to move Austin Bolt or have him playing defense, just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Saw him warming up there and working out there at practice. And is that a permanent move?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see how it goes. I mean, I'll tell you right now, John, I mean, he is, and you guys know from being around there, he's a phenomenal athlete, very coachable. And Coach Avalos actually showed us some clips of him even on the scout team playing some DN, doing some pretty impressive things. So I think it's something that I know we're excited about, him being able to learn it right now and grow in it and learn the techniques and the fundamentals that we teach at that position. But he definitely has a future there. So I'll tell you this much. I'm going to try and keep him on the defensive side of the ball as long as we can. And he's got some good guys to learn from, especially with, Shane being banged up last weekend. It was good to have him be able to learn some of those things and grow and create some more depth at either D end or stud.
And I guess another one, I mean, BYU, we're not sure exactly who's going to play quarterback. I just want to ask you what your process is like when you're possibly preparing for multiple quarterbacks. BYU's played 3 so far this year. Again, we don't know what they're going to do, but what is your process? What do you do as a result of that, Spencer?
Yeah, for us, we obviously plan for either one, and especially in this case, they're different. Number 3, their starter at the beginning of the season can make all the throws, but the aspect of the game that he brings is he's an elite athlete and can run. I mean, there's multiple plays on film where against Arizona, he has a 60-yard scramble for a touchdown on a broken play. On 3rd and 1 against Utah, he takes a zone read for 60. So he's got that type of get up and go in regards to his athletic ability. And so we'll be planning for that. We'll also be planning for whoever else shows up, because at the end of the day, I have a ton of respect for them and what they do offensively, and they're going to do what they do, and they're going to run the rock, and they're going to have their complement passes off of it. So, but that to answer your question, John, you kind of got to prepare for both, and you got to plan for both, and get your guys locked in on whoever's going to show up on Saturday.
Thanks, Spencer.
Appreciate it, John.
So, Spencer, obviously you guys are going to face a pretty talented running game on Saturday. What stands out on film about Tyler Algier?
I'll tell you what, I mean, from hearing his story and knowing it now for a couple of years, former walk-on, played linebacker, moved to running back, you can tell the edge with which he runs. He's got that edge. He's a competitor. It's very seldom on film, Ron, do you see the first guy take him down. Runs with great pad level, extremely strong, and very similar to some of the backs we've seen. Is if you're wrong, it's gonna be out. And you see some plays even past weekend where, short yardage, it's not fit up right, and it's 60 yards to the crib. So I think he's a very tough runner. He's explosive. He's got great balance, and you better gang tackle him because of how strong he is and how quick he is at the point of attack. I think he's a hell of a runner.
And you guys have so much experience at linebacker, just with Wimpy and Noah. Given that fact and the fact that you guys have struggled to defend against the run so much, has that been frustrating or surprising at all for you this year?
Yeah, I mean, just like obviously, disappointed on what happened this weekend, and I take, full responsibility for it. And especially when there's things that you're better than, especially in calls and different things, you're like, man, I know we're better than this. And by the end of the day, we're just going back to our process and seeing, okay, how can we as coaches, first and foremost, be better, and how can we simplify this for our players so that we don't make some of the mistakes that were made on Saturday and clean it up, because we got what it takes. We've got the players. We've got the right schemes. It's just cleaning up those small details across the board, because everybody at this point in the season is going to be banged up. You're week 6, and that's just what it is. And so getting our guys just to play fast, play with discipline, play with the fundamentals and technique we want is going to be huge for us. And at the end of the day, that's what we're going to focus on, and we're going to have good switch ups and different things. But the biggest thing is just our guys playing with discipline.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Ron.
And so what is the biggest frustration for you right now? Is it the, rush defense, the third downs? I think you're 110th in the country right now. Is it the 20-yard, explosive plays? I think you're 117th. I mean, what area is giving you the most frustration right now and causing the most problems?
Yeah, BJ, man, obviously all those, you are frustrating and not happy about. I think for me, I try not to focus too much on where we rank and some of those things, especially as you're going through the season. The biggest thing for me is just making sure we continue to grow and learn from mistakes we've had game to game and work to not let them happen again. If it's in the run game, if it's in the pass game, if it's mistakes that I make, whatever it might be, just try and learn from and grow. Because at the end of the day, I really, truly believe when our guys are playing in character and they're doing what I believe they can, we've shown some really good things. We just got to do it consistently. You go from one week where things, go well and things are doing, exactly what you want to do in some circumstances. Then all of a sudden you do things that are completely out of character. So just trying to reel our guys in and get back to the fundamentals and technique of what we do and not let some of the other things, take control of it, BJ. Because you're right. I mean, it's, in the game, you watch it, and especially some of the third downs, different things. You're like, man, that's what we thought was coming. This is what we wanted to be in, and didn't make the play when we had it. And so, getting that stuff cleaned up, and we will. And I know our guys are excited to grow in that. And I know us as a coaching staff are excited to help them grow and excited to put them in better situations. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together, and we got to work obviously to clean all those areas up. Long answer to that question. Sorry, BJ.
That's okay. What's it been like for you? I mean, you guys are 2-3, and that's not something that anybody's used to around here, and obviously frustrated with how things are going, and fans are going to be fans, and you're taking a little criticism maybe on social media and video shows, whatever, and you're, a young coach in your first year leading the defense here. What's this been like for you trying to deal with everything and try to get this thing, fixed?
Yeah. And first and foremost, I try and just focus on the things that we can control, definitely, obviously frustrated, at the end of the game, very frustrated, hate losing on the blue, hate losing in general. And I'll be the first to say it, and it breaks your heart, but, instead of dwelling on it, it's like, okay, how can we get these things fixed and how can we be better going forward? Because we still got a lot of football left to play. We got everything still in front of us, and trying to not only myself focus on that, but try and keep that mentality for our guys. But it is a fine line between just moving on and not dwelling on it. But you got to get those things fixed so they don't continue to show up. And there have been some things that have showed up week to week that we need to do a better job making sure don't happen again. And so to answer your question, BJ, I mean, I'm trying to focus on the things that we can control, and with our whole staff. And for us, it's just the little things. How are we prepping? Can we be better this week in how we prep for an opponent? Can we be better from a Monday practice to a Tuesday to a Wednesday? And going back to those small things that we can control, because I really am a firm believer that the rest of it will handle itself on Saturdays, and you'll see a better product than you did this past weekend. And at the end of the day, I just want our guys to be confident in that.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks, BJ.
Go to Bob, Chris, and Jay.
Spencer, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing good. Hey, question first of all on looking at our defensive side. How much do you think getting off the field on third down would help the play? Because it seems like you didn't rotate a lot, especially up front in the defense, that if you could stop a drive at, say, 5 plays versus a drive that goes to 8 or 9 plays, how much would that help?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, getting off the field either on third down or creating takeaways, which we've done a good job this year, and we didn't get any on Saturday, is really the lifeblood of your defense. You got to get off the field, and the more plays and the more opportunities you give offenses, especially a good offense, they're going to make you pay, and they did on Saturday. And so, kind of looking at everything in regards to that, from how we're executing on third downs to some of the schemes we're using, just trying to make sure we put our guys in good situations, and then making sure they know very clearly and concise how to execute in those situations, because I know we can and we need to be better. And so it's a huge part, Bob, because at the end of the day, the longer you stay on the field, it's not going to go well for you on defense. And so when we get those opportunities, which we did, throughout the game to get off the field and did at some points and didn't at others, was really a lot of the difference maker.
And then when you look at BYU offensively, the biggest difference to me is you don't see Zach Wilson taking the snaps at quarterback. They've, had guys that have different strengths. So based on their play selection and what you've seen in the first 5 games, how is their offense most different scheme-wise than it was last year?
Yeah, I don't know how much different it is scheme-wise. Obviously, I think, Zach Wilson obviously is a, elite quarterback, but, we played them for a couple of years, and even in 2019, we played them when Zach Wilson was hurt and played Romney. And so their system, I think they do a great job with having complement plays. So you got to be able to stop their stretch run game. They got some complement runs off of it. And then they've got the complement play action boot pass game that goes along with that as well. And so regardless who's, the under center or who's taking the snaps, is they're going to have guys that fit that system. And if it's Jaron Hall, if it's Romney, whoever it might be that's going to be playing, they're going to step in and do a really good job. Obviously, Zach Wilson can do some things that are head scratching and has done it against multiple opponents and is doing it in the NFL now. But I don't think they're overall as a schematic offense has changed much. It's just a different guy throwing the rock.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, Spencer, on third downs, you guys are facing about the same yardage to go as you were a year ago. So it's not like, doesn't seem like you guys are losing first and second down. Is there anything you point to for the third down troubles?
Yeah, Chris, I mean, we're obviously looking at it all right now, and there's a lot of different factors. It could be, one, putting him in better situations, which at the end of the day, it always comes down to me making sure that happens. It's executing the technique at that moment and not trying to do someone else's job. If it's man-to-man coverage, I'm going to cover my man. I'm going to do my job. It's creating more rush up front. So there's a lot of different factors that go into us not being successful on third down. And at the end of the day, it's monumental to play good defense to get off the field on third down. And we have done a better job winning first and second because we're getting in third and longer windows, and those are the ones you got to win. You got to get off the field, and we haven't consistently, and you need to. And so looking at it from the top down, making sure that we're obviously first and foremost putting them in the right schemes, but then simplifying it for our guys to where they can be confident to execute it in those crucial moments because we just haven't. And it starts with me, and looking at it and making sure that we get that fix is huge because we got to get off the field.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Me?
Yeah, it's you, Jay.
All right. What's up, Spence?
What's up, Jay?
I kind of got a long-winded question for you, but hang with me for a second here.
Mm-hmm.
So, watching Georgia play this last week, I know they got a bunch of NFL guys over there, but you can also notice that they are just a connected defensive unit. If you go back and you look at your initial depth chart this season, up front, you are now missing more guys than you have available to you on that depth chart. At defensive end, Shaden Irwin, Isaac Calamente, gone. Instead of playing Scaly Gahan, you're playing a true freshman in Ahmed Hassini. I mean, I know that you guys won't make excuses, but when it comes to certain situations and putting players in better situations, how difficult can that be when you don't have your full deck, or in this case, not even half a deck?
Yeah, Jay, it's a great point. I mean, at the end of the day, and you hit the nail on the head, you do what you do with what you got. And I really do believe that we've got all we need right now to be successful and still achieve our goal. And it's us as coaches to make sure we put guys in the right situation. So if a certain player is younger and couldn't do maybe what the starter could do, then it's our job to put him in a better situation so he can execute. If he can't, if he's not an elite edge rusher on this certain down and distance, we got to get someone else that can do it. And so you end up having to personnel things a little bit more and make sure you put guys in the right situation because as a coach and especially as a defensive coordinator, that's all we can do. We're trying to move the stress to where we're consistently switching that up from a down to down basis, but creating that consistency and keeping our guys healthy to where we can grow and they can start to put more game reps under their belt and just grow as a unit is going to be huge. Because I completely agree with you, Jay. And at the end of the day, we got to make sure our guys in the right situation. Whoever we got, who's ever healthy, we're gonna get them ready to go, and we're gonna put them in good situations, and we're gonna make sure they can play fast and confident.
As you adjust and try to find those mixes and matches or whatever. What have you found in Isaiah Banya, who last week he had 3 sacks? You go back 15 years, the only other Broncos to achieve that are DeMarcus Lawrence, Curtis Weaver, and Kamale Correa. It's pretty good. That's a pretty good group to be associated with.
No doubt, and just excited to see his growth and development. Coach Collins, Coach Avila has done a great job seeing him grow, and even how he preps Jay has been way different. He's in the film room all the time. He's understanding the intricacies of the game because he's an elite athlete. He's got a great get off. He has a lot of those tools, but seeing him take steps and how to play the game and how to be on the attack's been awesome. And him, just like a lot of our players, he's younger and he's got a long way to go, and he's excited to keep taking those steps, because I really believe that Isaiah hasn't even tapped his potential in regards to how good he can be, and was really excited for him to be able to make those plays. And we obviously needed him to make them. And there's even more on the table for him. So excited to see him grow and step into that role. And it's cool to see him, with having to move Dimitri to DN with Shane being out and having him kind of step into that starting role. He really took the reins and ran with it. And it's awesome when you can see someone do that.
One more for me. And I don't know if you could just kind of walk us through this one. And I don't mean to be critical, but maybe just to enlighten us or whatever. But on that touchdown run that Toa had, almost started really to shift the game in Nevada's favor. JL was kind of staring down the barrel at him, and it looked like he kind of got caught on his heels a little bit. I don't know if that's a tough hit in today's game, because you're worried about going full board somebody and maybe targeting, or I don't know. But how did you guys kind of view that play afterwards?
Yeah, it's one of those plays that you're obviously frustrated about at a lot of different levels. It's not on one person. There's some stuff up front we got to clean up that didn't fit out well in that play. There's some fits from the leverage in regards to that play. And then, from watch, I think JL just essentially just kind of overthought it and thought it was going to go somewhere it did. And then all of a sudden he's got this big back on his face on the 1 yard line, and you see what happened. But the plays that hit us is not one guy, it's not two guys, not one position group. It's a lack of focus on the details in those certain plays, and the consistency to grow that and get that done, starting with me, is going to be the biggest thing going forward, because I know we can. It's just doing it consistently from first down, second down, and third down is going to be the difference. And we've seen times this year where we have, and then obviously we've seen times where we haven't. So just making that to where it's more consistent, rep after rep is key.
JL's been really good this year. Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Jay.
Let's go to Will.
Hey, Spence, what kind of threat does Gunnar Romney provide for you guys on the outside?
The thing about their receivers at BYU, Romney being one of them, is they just got great length across the board, and they've done a great job recruiting from the O-line to the tight ends, the receivers, where they got a lot of length, and they do a great job using it to their advantage. I think Gunnar does a great job tracking the ball. He's got good speed, but he uses his length, to really find the ball in the air, and he can track it really well. So they've got just a really good offense to complement who their personnel are. They got a very big, fast, athletic O-line. They've got great tailbacks, and they've got those receivers that can win the one-on-one jump ball with their play action shots. So hats off to them and how they've recruited and how they've really fit their scheme to match their personnel.
You think about this matchup with BYU, guys, that you guys are so familiar with. How physical is this game? How would you describe the physicality whenever Boise State and BYU face each other?
Oh, it's going to be through the roof. It's just one of those games, and they've done a phenomenal job running the ball, and they're going to come out and want to do the exact same thing, and we're going to come out and work to stop them. I mean, that's what it's going to be, and I know it's going to be no different from the offense. Our offense versus their defense is going to be the same way. And to your point, being such a close team to us, there's we know each other. We be able to play each other every year. And so that brings a little bit of that rivalry to it, which is fun. And I know our guys are excited for the challenge. We obviously know who they are and how good they are, and we're excited for the challenge. And my hat's off to them. They've had a phenomenal run, and they're doing a great job, but we're going to work our tail off this week to clean up the things we need to and clean up the discipline stuff, and starting with the coaches all the way to the players, so we can be ready to go on Saturday afternoon.
Thanks, Spence.
Thanks, Will.
I think Mike Prater dropped off. So, yep, I think we're good, Spencer. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Spencer.
Recording stopped.